Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first debate of these small tournaments. Today we're gonna the first team, which is the Pro One, is gonna present right now, showing us the team and presenting to us the motion that we are gonna talk about. So if the Pro team can present itself and the emotion, please.
Okay, so good morning everybody, my name is Benedetta and today my house and I are going to talk about the motion. This house supports school strike for climate. So first of all, I'd like to make some presentation.
Oh, wait, I just wanted for you to present the team.
Okay,
The
so the
lady
pro
name,
one is
yeah,
pro
for
one is Benedetta Fontanarosa.
okay, which
Pro two
yeah.
is Greta Civilla. And the speaker three is Alessandra Farina.
Okay, and which topic are you going to discuss today?
So this house supports school strike for climate.
Perfect. Okay, if the opposition team can now introduce itself, please. Did you hear me?
Yes, my name is Silvia Lanuz and I'm the first speaker of the control team.
I'm Emanuela Corallo and I'm the second speaker.
Okay. And the third speaker is?
I'm Elisa Fanelli and I'm the third speaker.
Perfect. Okay, what I want to ask you right now is to tell which speaker for each team is going to do the fourth speech, please.
Me, for the control team.
For
Okay,
the pro, it's me.
Who, sorry?
Greta Civilla.
Perfect, okay. So if all the other judges are ready, then I think that we can start with this debate, giving the word to the first speaker of the proposition team. Before starting, I would like to remember all of you, which are the small rules. So first and last minute are protected. You can't do a question in any of those minutes. And for the rest of it, just respect the rules of your position. So now I can give the word to the first speaker of the proposition team. You may start whenever you want.
Okay, so good morning everybody. My name is Benedetta Fontanarosa and I am the first speaker of the pro team. Today we're going to talk about the motion This House supports school strike for climate. So I'll start my conversation telling you a definition of the word strike for climate and school and our team line. Then I am going to resume you all the points that we're going to cover during this conversation and I'll expand the first and the second arguments while the second speaker is going to expand the third one. So first of all, I'd like to start saying the definition that we are giving to some words, just to make you sure that you are seeing the situation from our point of view. So, with strikes, according to our English dictionary, we mean a period of the time where an organized group of people stops working because of a disagreement over a condition. So, I'd like to precise that from our point of view, a strike is not a waste of time. Then I will tell you the definition that we are giving for the word school. So, school is a place where children have to be educated in any field of the life. So, it doesn't mean only on math or literature, but also to live in the actual world and to understand it. Then, in the motion, we say this house supports school strike for climate. So, what we mean for strikes for climate? For the climate, we mean that we are striking to fight the climate change, obviously. And what is climate change? Climate change is the change in Earth overall temperatures, weather, wind, and rainfall. So then I'll tell you what is our most important thin line. So we support the fact that school strikes are the one which have more impact for the cause that we are fighting for, that is climate change. So I'll start making a resume of the points that we are going to cover during this conversation. First of all, we are going to tell you what do we teach to children when we make school strikes. So we know that school is the place where where children also learn how to be active citizens. So these strikes, school striking, can teach you not to be passive to the problems that we have in modern society and to fight for your own rights. Then, so it also makes you inform yourself and be more concerned about what are the main problems that we have in the nowadays world. Then I'm going to talk about the second argument, that is students of today. So the nowadays generation would be the adults of the future. So nowadays generation are going to be the generation that in future will be in the governments and will be the owners of the most powerful industries that pollute our environment. So it's right to educate with school strike our generation since their little age. Then our third argument is about the word school strike. So why we say that a school strike has a better impact on the new generation than a normal strike, because school is skipping school has a bigger impact on society, on governments, and also on school. So now that I've made a resume of what we are going to cover during this conversation, I can I can concentrate myself on the first two things that I'm going to say. So first of all, what does a school strike teach to students? So there are a lot of examples of school strikes. For example, school strike for climate over the Greta Thunberg's association. What does this school strike teach us? First of all, we aren't more passive persons. Since our little age, we started to understand. Yes?
Can you explain to us how can skipping schools could be have a better impact on children?
This is our third argument, but I don't know if I can tell us. But the third argument my classmate is going to talk about is that obviously, if we don't do a strike out of school time, this won't have a big impact on school. That's because we don't skip anything. If we skip school, everyone will see that we are not going to school, so this will have a bigger impact, because children not going to school for an actual cause has more impact, obviously. But we are going to see this topic after. Thank you for your question, nevertheless. So I was saying, a school strike teaches us not to be passive since our little age, and to be concerned and informed about the nowadays problem. Climate change is not a problem, a little problem, also because it will affect our generation in future, and also our kids, our sons, our daughters. So it's a big problem that a lot of people do not take into account, but we should. Also because school is the first institution that teach us about this topic. So through school strike, we are putting to action what school teach us. So in the first argument, so we learn how to be active citizens in the reality. Then about the second argument is that students of today will be the adults of tomorrow. So nowadays generation will become in future our in our governments, in our
Times.
the time was finished, I think. So school is a perfect place to learn about climate change and put into practice our thoughts. And in future, we will be the next governments, next generation. And for this, we have to be concerned about the climate change situation and to start to learn about that and to protest against it since our little age. So my main point is resuming everything that school strikes we support school strike for climate, and you should too, because first of all, the school is the place where we learn about climate change, so where we learn to be active citizens. So it would be hypocrite to not support what the school teach us. And second of all, because students of today will be the students of the future, the adults of the future. Thank you for your attention.
Tempo 8 minuti e 11 secondi.
Okay, thank you for your speech. Now, if all the other judges are ready, we can now give the word to the second speaker of this debate, the first speaker of the opposition team. When the judges give me a positive signal. Okay, so the first speaker of the opposition team will start whenever she pleases.
Okay. This House doesn't support the school strike for climate because it isn't the best way to really change the world we live in. So let's start to confutation of all the first speaker of the proposition team has said. First of all, she said that to not to be passive citizens, we have to participate at these strikes. But it's just these strikes that can make you a good citizen and an active citizen. And the first speaker of the proposition team hasn't asked at my question that I request at her. And I think me and my team think that to be an active citizens, we have some other ways, like participate at town's council or a regional council, and also take part in other organization about climate, and in which we have the possibility to express our opinion and our regret about the climate situation. For me and for my team, strikes aren't the only way to be active citizens. And now I'll present you the world in which we live in. We live in a world in which strike has become the only way to express our opinion, and we have lost the capabilities to dialogue with institutions. Strike has become the easiest way to follow, but it has been removing the really value to what it should be, because the strike could be the last tools to consider after a lot of trials of dialogue. Every day every day guys are bombarding from these strikes against climate, and guys are very frustrated about that because they don't know how to react about all of these strikes that are announced. And in this situation, guys are lost and they don't know how to react about this, and they don't know how to react at all of this. And to do okay, thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, and so how should a student express themselves with governments or institutions if they can strike?
It's very easy because we have representatives, some students that represent us in the town council or in the regional council, and they have the possibility to take in this council their opinions about this. For example, they could talk in this council about waste disposal or waste sorting and other things that could improve our efforts from the climate situation in which we live in. So, so students have the possibility to express their feelings and to express their ideas with the institutions. And we think that strike could be the last thing to do. We have the dialogue first. We have the dialogue to be better citizen in the future, because a very good citizen is a citizen that has the capabilities to talk with the institution and to have a right dialogue with them. Now I'll present you the model that me and my team has done to express to you how to do it. To do it, we think that the best option is the dialogue, as I said before, with the institution. And as I said before, we have the town council and the regional council, in which guys could express their opinions. Now I'll present you our argumentation. In the first argumentation, I'll talk to you about how some strikes has become violent in the past and in the recent years.
I'm sorry to block you, but the connection just went off. So can you repeat what just said in this minute? I'm sorry.
Come ricomincio, quindi un minuto.
10 secondi abbiamo perso.
Okay. So I has presented you my model, and as I said before, to do it, we think that the best option is the dialogue with institutions, because guys has the possibility to take part in town council and regional council, and so as I said before, this can give at these guys the possibility to express their opinions about, as I said before, waste disposal, waste sorting, and other things that are connected with the climate change and global warming. So guys have the possibility to talk about these people and have a dialogue with them. So I'll present you my argumentation. The first argument, I'll talk to you about how some strikes has become violent in the past and the recent years. And my second speaker on my team talk to you about how these strikes are a loss of schools lessons, and how some guys take part in these strikes for other reasons. So let's start with my argumentation. Sometimes in the past strikes, some past strikes becomes violent manifestation. Just think about Genova 2001, or in the previous month we have listened about Rome. In Rome, in which people broke in the CGL site and create lots of damage in. So sometimes strikes became violent because this manifestation could be very dangerous for our children, and this could be a very bad way to manifest, because as I said before, every time we could take part in this manifestation, we could damage our children, and we could ruin our children. So
Did she just crashed?
Yeah, she wrote me and she
Okay,
said
she's
she
back.
just
She's back.
crashed.
Okay.
sorry. So okay, as I said before, are we ready to make our kids run into this danger? And as I said before, okay, sorry for problem for the internet connection. Every time our guys take part in this participation, we could damage them, because we don't know how these strikes will go, and we don't know how people react in this manifestation. So we could have this kind of problem, and it has a big problem for guys that could have another other ways to express their opinions. Thank you for attention.
Tempo 7 minuti e 52 secondi.
Okay, so thank you for your intervention. And when the judges are ready, they can give me a thumbs up.
Okay, we can start again.
Okay, thank you. So,
Okay. Can I? Okay, can I start?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Greta, and I'm the second speaker of the team pro the motion that children, this house supports school strikes for climate. First of all, I want to recap what the other team just said. So they said it's not the best way to go on school strikes to change the world that we are living in. And the first thing I would say is it really important to change the world or just the mind? I wanted to underline that going on a school strike is not just useful to change the world, because I mean, it maybe a school strike can't change the governments or the world, but it's important to change people's mind, especially the young people's mind. And then the other team as an argument, presented as argument, the fact that children and students can be heard by dialogue, and that school strikes aren't necessary. And so I will present you the reason why I don't think that this argument is right, because I think that if government haven't heard us and we are arrived at this point where climate change is almost unreversible, there's the need of a revolution. I mean, with the words we can change something maybe, but you really think that a regional council can change everything and this can be can happen in time to save climate? Well, I don't think so. Then I will present, then I'll start presenting you our arguments and make a bit summary of what my mate just said. So first of all, change a student's mind. It's very important, because with the strikes, as we said before, school teach students that education is on every fight, and social life is very important, because be active citizens, and also sometimes make a revolution that is not just with the words, but also to go on strike is important. Yes, thank
So
you.
you and your team thinks that the revolution is the only way to in which children could could change the climate situation?
Oh, well, absolutely no. I don't think that it's the only, but I think that it's the most efficient, especially in this way when the time before climate, the climate situation goes irreversible. I think that it's the only efficient way we can change things, because I think that people have tried to express their opinions many times, but the government haven't heard them, because economy is more important. So second, so the school should teach how not to be passive and live in the world. Then my mate said that the students of today will be the next generation. So changing their mind means that there will be the people that will own governments, will rule, and will own especially industries that pollute. Then I'll present you my argument. That is why school strikes have more impact. Well, I'm giving you the answer. So school is our only way to connect, to link ourselves with institutions. Why? Because school is for students a microcosm, a little representation of on a smaller scale of reality. So that means that we are connected with a ward, a little ward where there are parents, where there are janitors, where there are teachers. So our choice not to go on school, but to go on strike is a way to make other people change mind, to make teachers, to make janitors concerned about the problem that we want to share. Because if we'll be the next generation, we'll be the one that we live in the world that want to return back to a mild climate in which we can live. So this is our only way to try to make other people change mind. And so we can express and make this problem real, because it's a problem that we have to share. But the only way and the most efficient way to express it is doing strikes on school time. And so we can, thanks to school strikes, make hear ourselves, have an important role on people and on governments, because the school is a part, as is an institutions of government, so we can make ourselves hear even from bigger institutions. And I don't think actually that a regional council can affect a lot the world climate or the world government. But I think that if all the school strikes are reported, well, in this situation, in this a way, we can make ourselves, we can express ourselves, and our emotion, our desire to change climate change can arrive even to bigger institutions. So it's actually a way, I think, and my team thinks, to arrive to the top, even if we are in a small city. So just to recap, our team line is...
Point.
Thank you. So our team line is, I repeated, that school strikes are the ones that have a major impact. So and we'll have showed this with our arguments. Thank you.
Tempo 6 minuti e 49 secondi.
Okay, so thank you for your speech. Are judges ready to continue the debate? Perfect. Now the second speaker of the opposition team may start her speech.
Yes. So I'm the second speaker of the government team, and as the other speaker said, today we are going to talk about this, and I repeat our team line. Our team line, that is that we think that this house doesn't support the school strike for climate because it isn't the best way to really change the world we live in. First of all, I want to confess something. We have never said that the strike aren't an option. We have said the strikes are the last option, because the dialogue, as we have everyone has always taught us, is the first option, because the dialogue is really important. Also, you have said multiple times that with the school strikes, only with the school strikes, you can change people's mind. So you have said multiple times that if you lose school hours, you will make an impact. You will make an impact on other people's mind. So are we really sure that other strikes are not important and don't have any value?
Poi?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that it was the last option, the strike. And you think the dialogues have done something in these years about this matter, about the climate change?
Obviously, in fact, there are some institutions that really care about the climate change. We also study that in school, and there are also hours that are dedicated to this. In fact, in school, we talk about how to become citizens. So we have hours in we talk about the climate change, the human rights. So school does something. it's not only with strikes that you can become an active citizen. In fact, you have said the strikes are the only way to be an active citizen. So you said that have a dialogue is not a way to be an active citizen. We also, in my argumentation, I'm going to tell you how school strikes are also a loss of hours, because activism can also be done outside school. You can do activism in your time, in your town. In fact, there are multiple associations that care about climate. It's not only a problem for the school, it's a problem for everyone. And not only children should care about this, because we all know that the damage is already been done and is a really big damage. But everyone should contribute by the little things, not only doing big manifestations, because how can you change? Yes, you can make an impact on people's mind, but do you really think that going doing some manifestations, people will really listen to you? Also, in doing some manifestation, you are also contributing to pollution because you go to the cities. And also there are some episodes in which after manifestation, only for, especially for, yes.
And going to school doesn't pollute cities. You don't have to go to cities.
Also, you are also making pollution, but there are some examples in which after strikes, the cities in where the strikes were old, were trashed, people has made a lot of trash, so you are not contributing to the climate change, but you are worsening it also. And also we are, as the other speaker of my team said, if you go and talk to your town, you can make little changes, but then the town can talk about a regional level, then a national level, and then also an international level. So if you start from a little point, you can go and make a big impact. We also know there are some associations, but also some the government of every nation take part in the like the G20, or maybe there is also been written the Agenda 2030, in which we studied at school. In fact, school educated us about climate change. And in fact, you have said that schools don't educate you. Also school strikes. You lose school hours, you make a change. But I don't think it's true, because school obviously educate you, and losing school hours is also a damage for the person. So if I lose school hours, I will also not be prepared in some field. And then I'm going to give you the third argumentation of my speech, which is that not everyone go to strikes for the original reason. So everyone knows that there are people that really care about the topic of the strikes, manifestate, contribute, but we also know there are people that hide under these people who have a good purpose, that go to strikes only to lose time, to waste time, because they don't want to go to school on that day. They think that going to strike may be the important people. And there are wide under the strikes and go to the strike only for fun. There are also people who go to the strike but as I've said before, a bad behavior and act in a wrong way and not the way that the strike is for. And I'm not saying that everyone has this behavior, but there are some people. So not everyone is really concerned about the problem. So school strikes don't have an impact on everyone's mind, as you said before. So I think that to change the way we live in and the world we live in, we must start by the dialogue and take strikes as a last option, as the option that maybe is the last chance to change something to have a big impact. But the dialogue is the most important thing. Thank you for my attention.
Tempo 6 minuti e 7 secondi.
Okay, thank you for your speech. The other judges ready to continue? Okay, I think so. Okay. So we can now give the word to the last speaker of the proposition team. She may start whenever she pleases.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. I'm Alessandra Farina, the third speaker of my team that is in favor of this motion. And today I'm going to confute the main ideas of the other team, and then I'm going to resume our main ideas, our main vision, our vision about this matter. First of all, we said that the school strikes are the method with more impact for the cause. And you say, yes, the strike isn't the best way to change the world. First of all, you actually consider a strike as an important thing, and you consider it as the last option. And you offer the vision of communication, of dialogues. I'm going to ask you something. Why in these years, after years and years of talking about this matter, we are still in the bad situation? So how these dialogues have actually helped the climate, helped us to improve. And then I'm going to show you how these are the most powerful way for this matter, for the climate that we are going to talk about today, is the actually effective that we have. Because these years of communication doesn't actually help the situation, and we are too late. We actually live in the consequences. Actually, the change of the climate is not normal, and we know it. So, you also talked about strikes that can become violent. But you bring as an example as Rome the last month. But the strikes on Rome on the last month are different because they were on the political aspect. And we know the political aspect is very different from a problem that we can all recognize. So the global warming, it's not the same thing of political ideas. So we have, for example, of strikes for the climate are the Friday for Future. These strikes actually show how the government should listen to us. And my team has presented that yes, is the one of the radical options because we live in a radical world. And your ideas, your vision, maybe can work in a perfect world. Because yes, how can I actually reach the top communicating just by myself? I need to do something that has an impact on everyone and everyone can see. And what is the best way for young people like us, for young people, actually talks to this, yeah?
Can you show us some effective changes that are even that has become before strikes against climate change?
I'm sorry, can you please, I didn't understand your point.
Can you show us some examples of some changes that has done before, after some of these strikes against climate change, please?
Yeah, because thank you for the question, first of all. And then these strikes are just starting from 1 or 2 years, but the communication that you presented is starting from years, maybe more than a decade. So I think that if everyone listen, for example, Greta Thunberg, we see Greta, we have some Greta Thunberg for some years, few years, and then every politician talks about her and their ideas. But the communication that you present us are ineffective because in a perfect world, maybe we can reach the top talking nicely and ask things. But we know that this isn't work. No, thank you. So strikes are not always violent, but they are always effective because everyone talks about it. Everyone could see. So if we actually do a strike in the only institution that are kids, young people live with, we have an impact. My teammates said, for example, we have an impact on teachers that don't have guys teach, or janitors, or parents that have to bring their kids to school, on, for example, the bus transportation. So I think that the main idea that my team is going to present is the school strikes are the one with more impact for the cause, because the cause is very, very in a late situation. We are living in a world that affects us. And in school, we can find the new mind. We can find the next generation, the next government, the next companies, and the next scientists that have to find a solution. So if we bring this matter on the center of the tomorrow world, so the world of the future, we can really do something. And I want to summarize the main ideas, showing the difference between this vision, our visions, because communication actually doesn't help us very much, because we are in a late stadium. And school should teach us how to be a good citizen. And you say that yes, school teaches us how to be a good citizen, teaching us the rights, human rights, but the strike is actually the practice of the theoretical level that you present. So you are, you confuse these ideas, because if school teaches us to be a good citizen on theory, it doesn't work. We have to see the practice of this. And you also talked about kids that use this example to skip class. But if they skip, just to skip class, to skip a test, if they skip school, they still leave a message. So yeah, maybe not everyone are so concerned, but not everyone even are open to communication. But in this way, even the ones that are not concerned can help the cause. And I want to also to bring out the attention on the for example, the ways that we young people have to communicate with governments. I don't actually heard an example of good communication that can have very effective solutions. Why everyone? No, thank you. That everyone has seen the strikes that we did on November, for example, or the September, I'm sorry, Friday for Future. And we heard this, and we heard this continuously. So I just want to highlight, just want to present the fact that it's a very, very bad situation we live in. And as kids, that we should learn moralities, we should learn how to fight for our passions, for the matters that actually affect us. We have to go strikes in school, because the school is the place where we are educated. And education is not just math or literature. Education is the place where we learn how to live. We will learn how to be a good president, how to be a good chief of the company. So we have to we have to bring the theoretical level to a practice level. And the best way to do that is the strike. Thank you everyone for the attention.
8 minuti.
Okay, thank you for your speech. The judge is ready. Perfect. So we can now give the word to the third speaker of the opposition team. She may start whenever she pleases.
Thank you. So I'd like to start my speech by confutating some of the things said by the government team. I'd like to highlight, first of all, the fact of the active citizens. The government team said before that we become active citizens by going to strikes and manifesting, but that's not actually true. What my team and I talked about is the fact that you can just talk, you can just have dialogue with institution, and you can tell us that having dialogue with institutions teach you to be a better active citizens than going to strike. How can you actually be an active citizen by just going to strikes? How can this be a better way to be an active citizen than talking with institutions themselves? The second thing I like to talk about is school. Well, we all agree about the fact that school is an institution that provides education. We said before that provides education as subjects such as education, such as civic education, in which we learn about the rules we live in, and in which we find ways to live in our world, and in which we learn what to do in situations such as this one. The climate is very important, and we do all agree about the fact that it is an important subject. In fact, by this subject that we do at school, there is civic education, we just learn how to deal with it and what we can do, what rules are there in the world, and what do other cities to help with this problem. We don't do so at school, just subjects such as maths and literature, as the government team said before. The second thing, the third thing, excuse me, is that as the climate change is something that is really important, we can't just lose our time by having strikes and go to strikes. In fact, it is faster to just go to institutions and talk with someone about it and find some effective solutions. We have asked so many times to the government team some effective solutions that strikes bring with them, but we haven't heard about them. The government team said, yeah, we had effects, but what effects? We haven't heard of them. We have heard, in fact, of effects had with dialogue, such as the Agenda 2030, and such as other deals had between cities. Moreover, there are the government team talked also about the figure of Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg is a figure that pointed out some years ago, but scientists were talking about climate change before Greta Thunberg did. Greta Thunberg is talking about no, thank you. If you're doing the point, Greta Thunberg is talking with institutes and is having a dialogue. And yes, she's promoting strikes, but before promoting strikes, she's talking with institutes and finding a way by talking with institutes to prevent.
Yeah, and the strike is made for talking about institution, because a strike doesn't actually bring attention on a cause.
Yeah, strikes bring attention on a cause, but are you telling me that with the strikes we had something? Yeah, the strikes we had really changed something, and what they change? We've asked this so many times to you, and we haven't had an answer. So I don't know what you're talking about. And yeah, I was telling before, the main solution to this problem is talking and finding a way to solve it. Climate change is happening right now, and scientists from in the last 30 years have been talking about this, have been talking about the hole on the atmosphere, and they've been talking, and they've talked with institutions. So talking by this is the really best way. The other thing is that the other thing is that the government theme talked about changing others' mind by strike. But how can this be a solution? How can this save the world from climate that is happening? Can we really just go in our city and strike? How can we change the world, and how can we save the future by just going to a city and manifestate and talk just to the air, instead of going, for example, to the city council or participate to an organization, as my team and I said before. In fact, my team and I really believe that the best way to really change the world in which we live in is to have dialogues. Dialogues really change the world and help us in achieving the object we are following. Thank you for the attention.
Tempo 6 minuti e 51 secondi.
Okay, so now that the first part of this debate is finished, the constructive part, we can start with the second one, the reply speech part. So we can now give the word to the reply speaker of the opposition team. May she start whenever she pleases.
Okay. Okay, thank you for this fascinating debate. For the first point of clash, we talked about a world in which we have a constructive dialogue. But the government team talked about a world in which we have a revolutionary world in which we have chaos and we have some strikes. But we talked about how this dialogue could improve our efficiency to face with this climate change. For the second point of clash, we talked about how we can be active citizens with other things such as town council, regional council, or other organization. But the government teams talks about that we can be activist citizens just with strikes. So we don't have another solution, another way to be better, to be active citizens. And as my two speakers, as the second speaker said, we have other things, other ways in which we can be, in which we can face with this problem. For the third point, we talked about how the dialogue can make significant changes in our world, like Agenda 2030, in which we have reached this important point for with dialogue and not with strikes. But the government teams talked about that strike is the only valid option, and if we don't strike, we can't make significant changes. But when me and the second speaker asked them how can these changes, how if there was made some changes with strikes, they wouldn't respond us because they didn't know. For the fourth point, we talked about that the strikes sometimes has been violent, and but the government teams talks about that not only strikes are violent, so they are very ingenious about that, because we know that we can't know if a strike could become dangerous for children, and so they don't answer at our question. Thank you.
3 minuti e un secondo.
Okay, and so for the last speech of this debate, we now give the word to the reply speaker of the proposition team. You may start whenever you
Okay, thank you. Okay, so good morning, everybody. I'm going to do the reply. So first of all, I'm going to show you our point of clash of our debate. First of all, the team line of the against of the opposition team said that these strikes, school strikes, are not the best way to change the world. And we said, well, maybe it's not the best way to change the world, but it's the best way to change people's minds. And it's not also only the people, but also students. That is the most important thing, because our team line was that strikes can help change students' mind, and they will be the next generation that will change things. The second point of clash was that the other team said strikes are the last option and the dialogue is the first. Well, I and my team say that, well, dialogue is a good skill and is important, but at this point where it misses so a short time until the climate change become irreversible, the strike is the only solution. Indeed, I can say that our team, although the other team has said that a dialogue can change things, they haven't brought an example to us, but we have showed you with Greta Thunberg that the strike is really efficient, because thanks to Greta Thunberg that just didn't go to school and decided to strike, the climate change topic has been heard by many people. Then the third point was that some people, some students just don't want to go to school, so they strike just to have fun. And we say, well, maybe they do. They just go to have fun and they don't behave rightly. But first of all, how many of them are like this? How many students are like this? And second of all, that is the most important thing that our team said. It's well, even if they are not concerned about the topic, the message that arrives to institutions and the message that arrives to schools that are our microcosm, it's important, because we are communicating that there's a problem, we are not going to school, and so there's a problem and we need to solve it. Although we don't believe in it, the message that arrives doesn't change. Then the other thing was that school teach us to be citizens, and thanks to civic education. Well, we say theory is a good, schools give us theory, but where's the practice? It's the practice that matters, especially in a point where the strikes are the only solution to change this world. Then the violence, that is, we said it's not always violent strike, but is always an efficient way we can change our microcosm and we can affect and do what we believe in. So the last thing, our words. The word that we presented is a word where people strike, and when people, even from students that comes from a little town, can change things and can affect. So it's the most efficient way to make us heard by institutions. The word that presented the other team is actually, we think, a word that doesn't even exist, because if we don't strike and if we don't change the situation, in a few years, the world and the climate change will become irreversible, and so there won't be nothing to do anymore. So the dialogue isn't enough. Thank you, everybody.
Tempo 4 minuti e 5 secondi.
Okay, so thank you for this speech we just ended, and now it's the time for us, the judges, to go to the judge room and to create responses we will be able to give to you in about quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. Okay, so we can now end the recording of this